Okay, if we don't get started, y'all are going to reminisce until after lunch if I let you. Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to the Stillwater Pioneer Athletic Memorial Induction Ceremony, the 18th one. First, is John here? Tally? First off, let's just bow our head with a moment of silence. Thank you. That was off script. Because we're getting ready to do that again. In the back of your program, there is a list of our past inductees. It's gotten huge, thankfully. So I would like to have a moment of silence honoring that group. Thank you. Get a lot of thank you. Now I'd like a few special introductions of people that are here. First and foremost is Larry Francis. Without Larry, none of this happens. Larry, raise your hand, please. Larry's been setting this up for years and years, and we don't tell him what to do. He just does it and says, here's what you did last time that worked. It's just amazing. Basketball coach Chick Davis, please stand. Principal Uva Gordon. Anybody else? Okay. Like everybody know and thank, we have Casey, there's a crew from Casey Kendrick's TV 31 that is making a video of this. They do this every year for us, and we are then able to give a video of the whole proceedings to each one of the inductees' families, and that's very important. Also, at the end of this, I'd like for the families to stay after this is over with. We will get a family picture. Ken Helt, our resident professional photographer, if he's not worn out from doing reunion photography, will take pictures of the family, and we will also get you those in the mail. Also, the SPAM members, we call it SPAM, Stillwater Pioneer Athletic Memorial. Would all the members of the SPAM board please stand up? Thank you. For some of the people that don't already know, I'm going to read this. One of the reasons that we do this is to raise money, to provide scholarships to deserving Stillwater Pioneer athletes. Back in the early 90s, after 1967 graduate Nick Dreesen passed away, his father was given some money. He didn't know what to do with it, but he wanted to do something special. So he went and talked to Coach Jim Harris. Coach Harris came up with the idea of what this has now become. There's several people on the board that have been part of that since almost the beginning. Some of us have only been there 8 or 10 years, are kind of new guys on the block. In 1966, we had the first annual induction ceremony for former athletes. That seed money from Ralph Dreesen was put into an endowment fund, and the subsequent help of a lot of small and large donations from people like yourself and others, friends of the Pioneers, we began providing college scholarships to Pioneer athletes in 2000. all of the 14 winners of the scholarships are listed in the program, so you might want to go through the list. Currently, we have our last two scholarship winners here. One of them would like to say something, but is going to have some help because she got some laryngitis. Maybe that was fright, I don't know. And our latest, Jenny Scarborough, would also. So this is Tristan Smith from 2012 and Jenny Scarborough from 2013.
Good morning, everyone. I am proud to introduce two of our young ladies who have been scholarship recipients in the past. We as a SPAM committee are certainly extremely proud of them. Ms. Tristan here, our 2011-2012 scholarship recipient, unfortunately has laryngitis. She is currently a sophomore at OSU. She is double majoring in management information systems, right, in Spanish. She currently has a 3.8 GPA and is on the Dean's Honor Roll. And she recently accepted a summer internship for 2014 with ConocoPhillips. She'd like to say that SPAM, her Stillwater Pioneer Athlete Memorial Scholarship, has helped her to be able to take 15 credit hours per semester instead of just the minimum full-time of 12. So she'll be able to graduate in 4 years with 2 degrees, which is very impressive. She's not having to work nearly as much, so she has more time to study. So she just wants to say to everybody who's contributed, thank you very much. And I'll introduce Jennifer Scarborough.
Hi, I'm Jenny. Currently, I'm a freshman at OSU. Right now, I'm majoring in accounting. I would like to also minor in French later on. I'm also working at OSU in the admissions office at the vet school right now, and sometimes on the weekend I work at Consumers too. I went through Rush and I joined a sorority as well. And as far as athletics go, I'm still playing sports. I'm on 4 intramural teams right now, so I'm pretty busy. And I would just like to thank everyone again for allowing me to have this opportunity and represent the Pioneers.
Okay, now to the program. I have to turn lights on. Our first inductee is Lloyd Ricks, class of 1933. And the presenter for Lloyd is Kendall Grindstaff, the class of 1946.
I keep reading Jim Harris's name. Of course, I knew Jim, but I would tell a brief incident about him. But before I start my talk about Lloyd, he lived at. I had a blind cousin who lived at McElroy and Bryce Creek. Mark Grimsey, who bought that after he passed away, and Jim Harris called one day and said, "Arlo, could I bring a football team out and get the pigeons out in your barn?" He said, "Sure." So they come out, and Arlo says they go down, and he hears bam, 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 about 15 times, and he saunters down and says, "Jim, how many did they get?" He said, "None." He said, "The pigeons dodged every bullet, but they had a good time." I thought, but this man was blind for 50 years, and he followed Stillwater High School, every sport and every, plus OSU and another. Lloyd Ricks, I first met him in the late 50s. In instant, he was dispersing a small Angus herd he had, and my dad and I purchased him, and it was a very enjoyable experience, and I enjoyed so much knowing him and dealing with him. And a few years later, he came to me. He and his wife had closed their laundry down in Washington, and he came to me in the real estate business, and he said, "Hey, a man from Brunswick has approached me about putting in a pool hall. Said it's a new concept, no alcohol, colored cloth, yellow and orange and blue. And he said, well, to make a long story short, he and I put in the queue on Washington, and we owned that several years. As a lot of you know, if you want to really know somebody, get in business with them. And where there's money involved. And Lloyd, I never met him, or a stalwart, honest, wonderful man. I enjoyed all my years. And we didn't get rich, but we did have a good time. Lloyd was born to Isaac and Elizabeth Ricks in Yale in 1914. He passed away in 1990 at the age of 76. He lost his father at the age of 7, and his mother subsequently moved the family to Stillwater to attend university. Lloyd people became aware of Lloyd and his athletic abilities in junior high school. He played football and participated in track and wrestled some. When he got in high school, he won 3 consecutive state championships. He was undefeated in all tournaments, and he was a leading scorer in some of the tournaments. In 1931, it was at 165. In 32, it was 175, and at heavyweight, it was heavyweight. At 33, it was at heavyweight, and in all 3 of those years, the Spiller won the state wrestling. He graduated in 1933 and went to Oklahoma A&M, wrestled for the famed Ed Gallagher, and for 3 years, he was a national champion. I think at 77, 8, 91, and heavyweight. He was also one of the youngest men to be invited to the what are they trying to quit wrestling to the world deal, and he placed 4th. He also played football. He was all-state football player at Stillwater High School, and the sports editor of the Social World in 1933 said he was the best fullback in the state of Oklahoma in the paper. At Oklahoma State, he did play fullback, but after 1 year, I think he was concerned about maybe getting hurt for his wrestling career, so he just wrestled. But he had a wonderful, wonderful career at Oklahoma A&M. When he got out, or he didn't get out, he went into the Navy. When he came out, he got into several businesses, and then he retired from the cattle business. He is survived by his wife, Eva, who's 97 years young, sitting there, and I visited with her several times, a wonderful lady. And I said, well, where did you meet Lloyd? She said, I don't know, but I adored him. And that was the important thing, not where she met him. But his son's here, Bruce. He has a daughter, Kay, who's not present, grandchildren and children. So they're here, and they'll be, they're sitting right here, and you can visit with them later. It's certainly been my pleasure to, I was so pleased that Bruce called me and asked me to do this for Lloyd, and because I thought the world of him, and we were real good friends. Thank you very much.
Could we get the family to come up, and I'll present you with the plaque, all of the family? All. Someone's going to get to introduce.
This is my father's wife, Eva, my mother. Your father's wife? Yeah.
It's funny how that works
Yeah,
out.
I'm Bruce, this is my wife, Judy, my son, Jeff, Nathan, what was your name? Emily, and my daughter, Dan. Thank you.
They're also at the end with another.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Our second inductee is Gene Hammack, class of 1939, and the presenter for Gene is his son, Dr. Jim Hammack.
Our brother Bob was supposed to be here today to do the second presentation, but he's had a little accident, and he had to have surgery this week, so he's not going to be here today, and he's disappointed he's not here. But we are honored that our father is here, is honored by you, by this group, and I know that he is he's up there looking down and proud about this. And like Lord's father, my father lost his father at an early age 3. In 1936, his two older sisters came from Stillwater, where they're working, and took him from Hochatown, Oklahoma, which is southeastern Oklahoma, and brought him up here to go to school. Well, interesting enough, they tried to enter him into the 8th grade because they weren't sure of the level of quality of education in a one-room school in Hochatown, Oklahoma. But he took some tests and was able to start in the 9th grade with them. He became fast friends of Olin Miller, who Olin was a 2008 inductee, he and his brother Wendy. And the Miller family kind of were my dad's surrogate families. They were here in Stillwater. Doc Miller was a barber here, and I can remember going to a lot of OSU football games and getting my hair cut before or after the game from Doc Miller. But anyway, my dad, the first football game he played in was the first game he ever saw. And the hardest thing that they had about teaching my dad about football was when you block, you just don't tackle somebody. So anyway, he was a three-sport star here in Oklahoma at Stillwater, and played center on the basketball team, outfield in the baseball team. He made All-State when the first team in Tulsa World, and he also played that same year. He was a utility player. He started in various games, once as a tackle, as an end, a right halfback, and then on defense he was a defensive back. So he was a utility player for them. They were undefeated that year. They only gave up 13 points, as it says in my write-up here. My dad, what I'd like to say about him was that he was a very giving person, and a lot of things that he gave to our children here, my siblings. He coached all of our teams, and he found time in his busy world besides getting a CPA degree and a law degree by going to school at night. He was able to coach our teams, and a unique thing was that he was very active in the YMCA baseball program in Oklahoma City. In those days, all the youth programs were sponsored by the Y, and to play on the teams, you had to be a member of the Y. Well, there were several of my classmates that were not able to afford that. My dad bought their Y membership. They never knew it. So he was always a giving person, and again, he's very honored. And I appreciate you for inducting him today. This is my brother Keith and my sister Leanne.
Good morning. I'm Keith Hammack. I'm the youngest of the 3 boys that Gene had, and Leanne's the youngest of the children. Stillwater was always very special to Dad and to all of us. This is really a second home to us. In fact, I was mistaken because I thought this was homecoming, the rain, and we've sat through many rainy homecoming parades. As long as I can remember, I think it was required that it rained on homecoming. I sat out on the curb and watched many floats go by in the rain. But thank you very much for honoring our dad. He was a great person, like Jim said, but he was outstanding in many ways, leadership through the community and coaching with children and kids that we all were coached by our dad. We figured up at least 35 years of coaching through Y and other sorts of coaching. Dad was also a really fine golfer, and it was funny because he would wear out our living room chipping and putting. My mom just got so frustrated. She said, "Why don't you go outside?" Well, it's the middle of January, and you can't golf too many places in Oklahoma. But when I would play golf a lot with my dad, and he would always get commented by fellow players of, "Gene's the luckiest golfer I've ever seen." But they didn't see the hours of chipping and putting that he put in at the house. And then Leanne, sort of picked up on that, and she's quite famous in her own respect. But once again, thank you very much for honoring our father, and we really appreciate this honor, and I'm sure he's really happy to be a part of this memorial. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you as well, and just tell you that being the youngest Hammack, I got to spend a lot of time with my dad playing golf, and like they've all said, coaching our sports. And the thing I think I probably most respect about my dad is the fact that he's a very humble man. He didn't talk about any of his accomplishments, but he showed you, how to shoot a basketball. He showed you showed me how to hit a softball, how to hit a golf ball, and how to act while we were playing sports. He was a man of great integrity. If you gave him an extra nickel at the cash register, he was sure to give it back to you. And I think it's because when he grew up, he didn't have much, but he also realized that integrity was very important to him. But I've tried to pass on a lot of the things I've learned from my dad and my mother to my children, and so I think that's a great legacy that he has as well. And we just want to say thank you very much for this great honor, and I just wish he was here with us to share in it, but we just really appreciate you all, and thanks again. Oh, we'll just after us. That's fine.
Kind of bossy. Third inductee is James Rex Demaree, class of 1941, and the presenter for Rex is his son Roger Demaree, class of 1981.
Good morning. That was nice. We are certainly, and of course my sister has to make an entrance, and you can't be simple around with her, so we're certainly humbled and very honored to be here this morning for this group to honor our dad. I thought it was great, Clint. I appreciate you making the comment about, I didn't realize the tie with Ralph Dreesen and Jim Harris. Dad and Ralph Dreesen were great friends, and when Dad was alive, they were quite the roosters in the hen house out at Golden Oaks there in their last years. Ralph's great. Ralph's still around. And, it's been said it's not the amount of years in your life, but the amount of life in your years. That's certainly the case. With Dad, in his 88 years, it was an amazing life. Quick outline is, he was born east of town here on a farm during the Depression, as many families did during that era. Endured the Depression and the Dust Bowl. Went to Stillwater High School here and played football, wrestled, got state champion his senior year in wrestling. got then a scholarship to OSU to wrestle at then A&M, and that was interrupted, though, by World War II, was sent to Europe, where he was assigned to the 391st Bomb Group, servicing B-26 bombers there. He came home and ended up starting a business and contracting, building homes, and was still probably one of the most respected builders in this town to this day. He is, after that, he actually got called back into service again in training troops for Korea. The previous inductee commented their dad being very humble and didn't speak a lot about their accomplishments. That was very true of Dad. Though we knew he was very proud about what he did in his life and but more importantly, what he did for his family and his kids. When I stop to think about all the changes that he saw and witnessed in his life in some of those decades of our history, it's phenomenal. His generation's been called the greatest generation, and for what they endured, sacrificed, and produced for this country, I think you'd all agree. I know we wholeheartedly agree that we think that they are the greatest generation. Dad was always proud of his wrestling days here at Stillwater High School, then at OSU, and he always had some good stories of both. But one that I, for some reason, always remember really had nothing to do with either one. And coming from that wrestling background, as those of you that know it, are the physical demands on it. Between that, demands of the military, and then being in construction all his life, Dad was always pretty stout, and he was stout up until his old age. And I believe he was about 72 at the time, and we're all at a big Thanksgiving dinner. And before dinner, he's hanging out in a big easy chair. A couple of relatives' young sons kind of come up, and they're saying, "Hey, Grandpa Rex, we heard you used to wrestle. Are you any good?" And they start messing with him. Well, not a good idea. And in short order, he had both of them in a headlock on either side of the armchair, crying uncle. So lesson learned, you don't trifle with a wrestler, even in old age. Our dad meant the world to our family. An amazing man, amazing role model, and this is certainly a very neat deal, and we sincerely thank you for honoring him. And we wish he could be here. We know he wouldn't think it was, that he was deserving of it, but we all know he was. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Family up there?
Yeah. Got a few of our family here. Where's Rita? My sister Rita, my wife Laura. I'm the youngest of 5 kids and the better looking of all, so, but only my sister and I could be here today. And run, Forrest, run. This is my brother-in-law Mike. And there's my niece Whitney. There's children Keegan and Jasmine. There's our niece Whitney. Thanks, sir.
Our fourth inductee is Rex Stockard, class of 1957, and the presenter for Rex is Stan Ward, class of 1957. Y'all be kind of nice to Stan. This is the first one of these he's done. He kind of gets in trouble.
Well, I'll tell you, Clint, it's not the first one that I've done, and every time I do this, it reminds me of my own mortality, because it seems like I'm here always celebrating the lives of my classmates and dear close friends. And today it is a tremendous honor to be here to present Rex E. Stockard. My first memory of Rex was when he moved to Stillwater from Tulsa in grade school. His cousin was Keith Thomas, whom many of you knew. Keith would tell us what a great baseball player Rex was. Initially, Rex had a lot of doubters, yours truly included, because Keith was sometimes given to slight embellishment. And so some of us had to be like those folks from Missouri, and we had to be shown. Well, show us old Rex indeed did. Despite his small size, Rex was a dynamite athlete even from early age. He had great coordination and remarkable strength. Wisely, Rex was probably ahead of some of his contemporaries because he combined academics with athletics, and he took full advantage of what was then a great Stillwater public school system. A school system with horrible facilities, but wonderful and great dedicated teachers and coaches. In that system, Rex continued to excel in sports and academics because he had great mentors both athletically and academically. When the 10th grade rolled around, that's kind of a real make it or break it a year, as I recall, when you're in high school, Rex was really torn. He was already a highly skilled golfer and was able to make the varsity golf team along with a fellow sophomore classmate by the name of James Harris, the son of the great OSU golf coach, Labron Harris. Golf was a passion that Rex had pursued as a kid. When he got to high school, he continued it and into his adult life. But being so well coordinated and rounded and versatile, Rex was also a good gym class wrestler, and he continued to be passionate about the sport of baseball. So he was therefore in a position to be torn by these great choices. And as all of you know, baseball and golf are spring sports. Rex had to make choices. Although he could have made that wrestling team for the Pioneers, he opted to concentrate on baseball. He had some close friends, Bruce Andrew, Monty Green, Kent Davis, Tim Smalley, Norval Rasmussen, just a few to name, that urged him to play baseball. He did play, and he played extremely well. Now, some of you may remember this because I don't know how many state championship pennants hang in Stillwater High School, but there was one from 1957 for baseball. Rex and Bruce Andrew became the best keystone combination in Oklahoma high school baseball. Rex played second base, Bruce was the shortstop. Those two Pioneers were really good. In fact, when they won that state championship, Bruce was then named the Oklahoma High School Player of the Year. And all of you know what he did when he got to Oklahoma State University as a varsity player. Rex would jokingly, and I'm not so sure how much joke was in it, but he would tell you that he basically made Bruce Andrew what he was. Now, perhaps there was a small kernel of truth in that particular statement, although there are some facts that would say that wasn't just brag, because not only was Rex good, he was damn good at baseball. It was hard to get a ball through the middle of that Stillwater Pioneer middle defense. And so they had great pitching, and they had Stockard and Andrew at those two positions. They beat everybody that they played. To hone those baseball skills in the summer months between playing golf, Rex played in that prestigious select Guthrie American Legion team. It was one of the most competitive teams in the state, and they played in a very competitive baseball league. To be invited to play on that team was in and of itself a huge honor. Only the very best got the call. With his high school diploma now in hand, Rex was bleeding orange and black, and he headed for OSU in the fall of 1957. While he considered very seriously playing cowboy golf or cowboy baseball, he decided instead to devote himself to academics and to intramural athletics. But after 4 years, Rex had completed very successfully a degree in zoology, and he was admitted into the OU College of Medicine's class of 1961. After graduating from medical school, Rex completed a residency and became a board-certified internist with a further year of training in cardiology. After he got out of residency, served his time in the Army, Rex then went to Lawton, Oklahoma, where he practiced for 36 years and then decided, of all places, to return to Stillwater in 2008. He went back to the family home that had been built in 1957, moved comfortably back into the OSU Stillwater Pioneer community. As a retiree, he was closely following the Pioneers and the Cowboys with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm, yet he was still keeping up with his old SHS classmates who unfortunately were in the stages and advanced stages of aging. So Rex, being a retired physician, would get a lot of inquiries about various aches and pains and ailments and what should we do, Rex? We're too tight to go see a doctor. So we're going to ask you to try to keep us going. Then Rex suddenly left us in June of 2012, and his departure really created a void in a lot of lives. But before that last bat in life, Rex left a strong legacy for those to follow. And what a message. He exemplified what it really means to learn and appreciate the true meaning of sacrifice and hard work. And if there's anything that athletics teaches you, not many people get to play at the next level. We're always talking about, if I'm junior high, I'm going to play at the high school level. At the high school level, I'm going to play at the college level. At the college level, I'm going to play in the pros. Well, regardless of what the level is, and most of us don't get to play at a lot of higher levels, he learned the lesson of athletics, what it teaches you, and that is, first of all, to know what sacrifice and hard work actually entails. To be a competitor that plays the game of life by the rules. To learn to win and lose with grace and dignity. To understand the meaning of fair play and to love life with great enthusiasm and zest. And those are all characteristics that Rex really demonstrated and exuded. All these lessons were learned right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and primarily at Stillwater High School, where his life was tremendously shaped by his academic and athletic experiences. And once again, by some very great teachers like Ann Johnson, Homer Weeks, Budge Beecham. I could go on down the Murphys, all of these people that are working in decrepit conditions. You look around here and I think I'm in the Taj Mahal. All I can think is the bond indebtedness that left all of you folks in Stillwater to pay. But at the old high school, you didn't have these kinds of facilities, but you had that esprit de corps, and you had those teachers that had a true commitment to making you better. And Rex kind of fit into that mold. He was very proud to be a pioneer, and his friends and classmates were just so happy to be able to call Rex a friend. Rex always had a smile on his face, and he was a man of good humor, but he wasn't a good humor about his name. Rex E. Stockard is what he would tell you it was, but he was always told by his friends that that was Rex Ephraim Stockard, and he would deny vehemently that Ephraim was that name. So his denial led to being nicknamed Ephraim, or Eph, by his friends. He lived with that handle all the rest of his life, and he was a very successful person in his chosen field of practicing medicine. But again, those lessons that he learned in high school athletics, those lessons of sacrifice and hard work, carried over very well into the medical profession, which is a demanding, concentrating type of work that Rex performs so admirably and so well. Now, Stacy Blevins, his daughter, should be here. Stacy, are you here? Come on up here. And all the rest of Pat's. Is Pat here? Yeah, there's Pat over there. Pat East, come on up, Pat. And Mrs. Going, you got to come up here. She's 96 years young, I understand. 98? Pat was a classmate, class of 57, and her mother, look at her, come up here now. Mrs. Going was always so great with all the kids in the class of 1957. Here she is in the class of 2013, and what an accomplishment. So, we're really proud to be with you. It is a great honor to be able to present Rex. I just hope that I'm going to be around again to present others. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Kenneth L. Cross, class of 1960, and the presenter for Kenneth is Roger Beecham, class of 1960.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here, and especially a pleasure to talk about Kenny. He was a special guy, and I'm very honored that also to honor Kenny, we have a good number of the class of 1960. Would you all stand? And let me tell you, there were some characters in that class. But Kenny was born in Stillwater on August 12th, 1942. He was the son of Retta Gross, and he also lived with his aunt, Laura Hemphill. We got a story to talk about her yellow convertible a little bit later. But he grew up in Stillwater, where he lettered in football, basketball, and baseball. He graduated from Central State University and married Janine Godley on June 22nd of 1968. Janine and Kenny moved to Bartlesville, where they both taught school and Kenny coached wrestling, football, basketball, and track. Along the way, their son Derek was born. Kenny was preceded in death by Janine on August 26th of 2012, and he passed away January 6th of 2013. They were a great family. Growing up, if you looked at Kenny's picture over there, he was a hunk. And my sister, who was 5 years younger, when Kenny would come over to the house, first thing she'd do is get on the telephone and start calling all of her friends, "Kenny's here, Kenny's here." And then after he'd leave, she'd start badgering me to want to know when he was going to come back again. But Kenny was quite a guy. He was the best athlete we had in our class. There was not a sport I ever saw him try to participate in he couldn't do well. And he quarterbacked us for 2 years in 59, and I guess it's 58 and 59. We were the class of 60. And in 60, we had a very special team. We were coached by Coach Turvey, Jim Harris, C.D. Mahura, Ralph Gibson, and there's another guy that came in and helped coach us. He'd played football down at that other school. He finished playing football. Stan Ward, remember when you came and helped us? And we had a great team, and we weren't very good athletes, but we didn't know that. And we proceeded to play well, and we had an undefeated regular season and a not so good a season in the playoffs, but we were overachievers. And one of the stories I'd like to tell about Wayne Powell, Coach Turvey thought Kenny needed some competition at quarterback, so he had Wayne go get under center and take some snaps. Wayne was one of our running backs. And so Wayne, they took the first snap and he dropped the football. Took the second snap and he fumbled it. He took the third snap and tried to turn around and give it to the running back, and the running back ran by him before he could give him the ball. So Turvey decided he'd had enough of that. And as Wayne walked away, Kenny looked at him and said, "You know, after 2 or 3 years, you might get pretty good at this." So Kenny he had this personality where he didn't exert himself so much on the football field or in the athletic field as he did. I mean, he did there, but not so much in his personal life. And if you were out there playing football, he was in command in the huddle. You didn't tell him how we were going to run the plays. He would call the plays. And the most exciting football game that I remember was when we played Blackwell. And we were ranked number 6 in the state, and Kenny and Blackwell was ranked number 1. And they had this football player named Jack Briscoe who went on to wrestling fame at OSU. And he was their star player. He was their fullback. We had Mike Upton, who was our fullback. And it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust because Kenny got knocked out of the game early on. Wayne got knocked out of the game. And so we had Darrell Smith, who was really a defensive end. He couldn't pass, playing quarterback. And we were just trying to hang on. And anyway, they scored, and we were behind 6-0. And it got down to the end of the game. We're down on the goal line. Time's running out. Turvey sends in this play to run to the right. Big power play. Everybody get out in front of, I think Horse is supposed to carry the ball, and block so we could get in. And we got in the huddle and we started talking about it. And we said, you know, that's too long. It's going to take too long to set that play up. Let's just run right at him. We got about a yard to go. And Kenny came back in the game, and he was hurt. And we looked at Kenny and said, "Can you get in?" He said, "If you get a hole, I can get in." Well, we snapped the ball, made the hole, blocked Briscoe. Mike Upton took his helmet and ran it right up Kenny's backside, drove him right through the end zone. We scored. Kenny throws the extra point conversion, or the 2-point conversion pass to Harry. We win the game. We make it to number 1 pretty quickly. We would finish the season undefeated. Now, we didn't do so well in the playoffs, but it was a great year. We had 7 games we came from behind, and it was all because of Kenny we were able to do it. But Kenny was a better basketball player than he was a football player. And he played on 2 state championship teams. Stories I remember about him were he came off the bench as a junior. We were behind Drumright, I think, and we had to beat him to advance in the playoffs. He scored 7 or 8 straight points and put us up ahead. We didn't lose the lead. We won the game, made it on to the state tournament, and I think we beat Pryor, if I remember correctly, by 2 points. So that was that year. But the next year was even better. We made it back to the state tournament. We had a really good team because we had Jim Barnes then, and Jim Barnes was a man among boys. And we got in the state finals, and they were playing a sinking defense on Jim. They were trying to put 3 guys on him to stop him, and they couldn't. And Kenny was left unguarded, and he proceeded to score every shot he put up. He scored 18 points and never missed a shot. Free throws, field goals, he made them all. And I think he was selected the outstanding player of the tournament. So he was something that was very special. We all had the ability to play with him. He had these great hands. He could play any sport. He could do anything. We took him bowling. First game he ever bowled in his life, he bowled over 200. So he could do it all. And one of the stories about the yellow convertible I got to tell you about is his aunt had this yellow convertible, and Wayne kept sucking up to him because Kenny dated Mary Lee, and Wayne dated Carol Ann, and he wanted to ride in that yellow convertible. So that was the story of the yellow convertible. But Kenny was a great guy. He was a friend of everyone. It didn't matter whether you were an athlete or whether you were not an athlete. He would do anything it took to make our teams better, and he was always an encourager. Now, one thing he was as a leader in the huddle, we'd all come back and say, Kenny, we blocked this guy, let's run this play again. And we'd run that play again. Well, they'd figured it out, and they'd stop us for no gain. Kenny would look at you and say, well, that's the last play you're going to call. So we went on down the line, and it was a great year. Kenny could do a lot of sports. He could play golf. He loved to ski. He was an all-state honorable mention quarterback in football. As I said, he was the most valuable player in the state tournament in basketball. He loved the OSU Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, the Boston Celtics, and the St. Louis Cardinals. It didn't matter if you were an athlete or not, he was your friend. He was a kind, generous, and true gentleman. And above all, he was a great father and husband. And I want to introduce his family. Derek, you stand up. This is his son, Derek. Derek, come on down. We're going to... And the Hemphills are in the back. Would you come on down? And Janine's brother, Larry. It was always great fun with Kenny. We'd got to know some of his family. We'd go down to Tryon and see his grandmother back then and just have a great time. But I want to introduce, this is Betty Hall.
Yes.
And this is Betty and Walter Hemphill, and this is Larry Godley. So with that, you want to make the presentation? Okay, well, thank you very much. And I just want to close with this, but all the people that are in this room that played football or basketball with Kenny, please stand. Appreciate you being here, and thank you very much, and God bless Kenny Cross.
Our next inductee is Dual Turner, class of 1961, and the presenter for Dual is his brother, David Turner, class of 1969.
Good morning, everyone. I would just like to say thank you, Clint. Thank you to the Board of Directors for having me here for this presentation. I feel so great about being here. My name is David Turner. I'm from Lafayette, Colorado, presently, but I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma. 1969 pioneer, two-time state wrestling championship member of those teams. I'm very proud of that. As you can see, this morning I have on this Stillwater Pioneer sweatshirt. In the year 2005, we had a school reunion. I was not able to make it. I was with a group that was in Nairobi, Kenya. So a friend sent me this sweatshirt, and it's been in my closet for 5 years. So I finally got an opportunity to put it on. And I was so proud of it. You know, I just learned about this here memorial only just, in July. My sisters was telling me about it. You know, like your brother's going to be getting inducted to this memorial. And I'm like, really? You know, I was kind of proud of that. And I really didn't know what to expect. And I'm calling them. They're living down in North Carolina. I'm like, you know, when is this going to happen? What am I supposed to say? You know, I didn't know anything. So finally, I got an invitation about a week ago. And the invitation had a website on it. So my wife pulls up this here website, and I'm seeing these past inductees. And I become saddened, and I was wanting to cry because I had so many of those guys were my friends. They were like family. You know, I don't want to just sit here and try to name them all, but you know, Tom Chesbro, Ray Ferguson, these guys were like family to me. And you know, like in the late 50s and late 60s, during my brother's time, there was a lot of racial tension, not only in our community, but in the whole country. But my brother would say, when you put on that bronze and blue, you become a family, you know. And he was such an influence. I had so much respect for my brother in my life, you know. He was like 8 years ahead of me, so, you know, like when he was a senior, you know, I'm in the 5th, 6th grade. And I remember he had a letter jacket, Stillwater Pioneers letter jacket with the S on it. And I would always want to put that jacket on. I was every bit of 56, 60 pounds, you know, at that time. And I had this big letter jacket on, you know, and I was like, wow, I got to get me one of these. Actually, I wish I had one from that year, you know. Went on later on to earn my own letter jacket in '69, but, you know, I wish I had a jacket from the 1960s. But my brother, he was special to us, and he was special to our family. You know, he was like a father to me. And like he said, David, sports is a way that you want to go. Sports is going to help you go a long, long ways in life. And he was true to that there prophecy. You know, he supported me. He supported his family. Now, you know, they have a great article in this biography about him. I'm not going to sit here and read this. This is about our family and about him and his family, which is great. Whoever came up with it, I want to thank you for that. My brother, he would be so proud today if he were here, you know. He was so proud. He was so proud of being a member of the Stillwater High School, C. Donner High School, I believe the name of it was at the time. He was very proud of that. And it gave me the passion to love being a Stillwater High School pioneer. You know, these guys, Jim Barnes, Don Scott, they were our heroes. You know, we looked up to them. They were some great athletes, you know, and I can go on and name more. Some of them still living, like Cleo McGlory. But I just want to say again, thank you for this here memorial. This is, and what the scholarships goes to help these young people, you know, who can't afford to go on to college and to excel. This is a great, great cause, and I want to thank you for this. I want to introduce now some members of my brother's family. Marva is our oldest sister.
Come on up.
He can come on up. Linda is his wife and his granddaughter. Brenda is his niece. This is his daughter, Shannon. She's from Boston, Massachusetts. Gail's his niece and his great-grandniece. This is our family, and this morning we just say thank you so much. And my sister's putting this in my ear, and his best friend is Benny. Benny, you can come on up with our family. This is his best friend. They both telling me one of the reasons why this is such a special morning to our family also is because today is his birthday. So, I mean, what a great day to have this memorial. And we just want to say again, thank you so much. And God bless all of you.
I would like to ask our president-elect for 2014 to come up and say a few words and close the ceremony. Thank you all for coming.
Hello, I'm Mark Wagner, class of 1969. I was a classmate of David, who did a great job. Thank you, David. As a reminder, we're very proud of these scholarships. This memorial is able to provide only through your generous donations. I don't know if you realize this, but since we started this organization in 1995 by Coach Jim Harris, we gave our first scholarship out in 2000. and we have now doubled the value of that scholarship through donations. It's now one of the largest, if not the largest, scholarships that are handed out at graduation. I don't know if you realize that. And so we have envelopes that are back over on these tables. If you would like to make donations to help us making a donation in honor of one of these inductees today, or previous inductees, or someone you would like to see inducted into Stillwater Pioneer Athlete Memorial. For those envelopes, please tell your friends and classmates about us, and also remind them to please inform us if they have any candidates for induction. We do have the website, like David said, they use that, and thank you very much. It's only about 2 years old, but it has all the information you could possibly want, and that's stillwaterpioneermemorial.org. Or you could use .com, either one, it'll get you there, stillwaterpioneermemorial.com. You may also make donations through the website via credit card, and there's space there to make it in honor of whomever you would so choose. These are tax-deductible donations, and it's an honor, in closing, it really is an honor to memorialize these lives well-lived, these lives well-remembered, and at the same time supporting, through a scholarship, a life that has potential. It's hard to combine those two activities into one, but I think the SPAM Award does just that. We thank everyone for coming and supporting these efforts. We especially appreciate the inductees' families and presenters, and hope to see everybody next year, same time, the Saturday, always following homecoming. And as a reminder again, we'll be taking additional photos of all the family and presenters back over here with Ken Helt. This concludes the 18th annual ceremony. Thank you for coming.